שלום וברוכים הבאים לבשירות עוד מלכותה, פודקאסט הפרמייר ליג של ישראל. סוף שבוע של גביעים מאחורינו, כולנו כעת מאחורי בורהאם ווד, כולנו תומכים באלנגה הצעיר, במה שאוהדי יונייטד הגדירו את זה הכי טוב כשילוב מעוות ונוראי של גמר הליגה האירופית פוגש את גמר היורו. נהנינו מקידרמינסטר, שאגנו בשער של סטוארט ארמסטרונג מסאות'המפטון ותמכנו בנוטינגהאם פורסט. קצת מוזר שבסיפור רובין הוד ולסטר היא זאת שמייצגת את העשירים. מחזור אמצע שבוע שכדורגל אנגלי משובח חוזר אלינו עם המון סיפורים ורגעים ושערים וחרטה למה אנחנו עדיין בפנטזי הזה, וגם אנחנו נהיה כאן שוב בקרוב, אבל עד אז רצינו להביא לכם פינוק מיוחד, במיוחד עבור אוהדי ארסנל בקהל, וזה הראיון שערך ניב דברת עם ווילשר. ווילשר שהוא עדיין שחקן פעיל אם טעיתם, אגב חלון העברות כבר נסגר, אבל ווילשר הוא שחקן חופשי ולכן עדיין יכול למצוא את עצמו בקבוצה כלשהי או מצטרף לצוות האימון של ארסנל, גם זה אפשרי. אז ווילשר מדבר עם ניב על מצבו כיום, על האימונים תחת ארטטה וארסנל הנוכחית, על ארסנל שלו מפעם, הפציעות שיצרו בעדו, המשחק ההוא מול ברצלונה שאחריו פפ גווארדיולה אמר בונה הג'ק הזה, זה שחקן זה, על יוסי בניון, על סס כפר ברגס, על השער ההוא מול נוריץ', והאם הקריירה שלו היא למעשה החמצה. הראיון המלא משודר כמובן גם בחבילת הערוצים של ספורט אחת, שם תוכלו ליהנות גם מהשערים, גם מהתמונות, גם בכלליות מווידאו, שזה דבר שהפודקאסט שלנו עדיין לא מספק, וכתוביות, גם זה חשוב. אז אתם יותר ממוזמנים לתפוס את אחד השידורים של הראיון עם ווילשר, אבל אם אתם נשארים כאן איתנו, זה גם בסדר. יודעים מה? יותר מבסדר. יודעים מה? אפילו נפרגן לכם ותהנו.
ווילשר, a very good evening. Great to see you here in the Premier League studios for Sport 1 Israel. Hope you're well.
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well. Very excited to see you. So many times on TV. Now it's finally in the studio. I'll take you back to the beginning of the journey with the first team at Arsenal.
Wilshere here, another youngster, only 16 years of age. He joined Arsenal as a 9-year-old back in 2001.
2008, away against the Blackburn Rovers. You're not even 17 years old. Mm-hmm. Coming on as a sub, becoming the youngest ever in Arsenal's first-team league history. Talk me through this excitement and happiness once Arsene Wenger approaches you and tells you, here's your chance.
Yeah, it happened really quick because it was just after pre-season. There was a lot of injuries at the time around the first team, so I'd been on the bench a lot and I'd experienced travelling with the first team. I just wanted to get on the pitch and it happened that day and yeah, it was amazing. It was a dream come true.
Overwhelming a bit, or...?
Not really, because it's something I'd worked for my whole life and I saw myself one day making my debut, probably not that young, but it happened and I felt I was ready.
Paddy Powers, retirement plans for Wilshere.
I'm not retired.
No, of course. Right, so there's a lot of these. There is. Jack's back in the game.
Our digital strategy to getting you a new club.
You've done a great commercial with Paddy Power recently with great banter. I couldn't stop laughing about your current retirement potential situation. Talk us through it. From your point of view, are you looking for a Premier League club or maybe a lower division club in England to carry on playing, or maybe abroad, or is it more coaching you're focusing on the moment?
A little bit of both in terms of playing and coaching. You know, I still want to develop my knowledge of coaching and my knowledge of the way I want to be a coach, but also I want to play as well. And I think it doesn't really matter to me if it's Premier League or abroad or Championship. What's important to me is the style of play, the way the team plays, the way the manager wants to play. And I've learned that over the last few years of being at West Ham, then going to Bournemouth and the manager changing, and I think the most important thing is style of play.
You still feel that hunger inside of you to go out there and still carry on playing actively?
Yeah, I think the last 3 or 4 months where I've been training at Arsenal has brought that back out of me. You know, I'm training well, I'm training at a good level with good players, so yeah, I'm still hungry to play.
You spent the last months training with them, also done some coaching, getting you through your coaching badges. How impressed are you with the project that Mikel Arteta is leading?
Yeah, it's very impressive, and to be around it and close to it and seeing the way he coaches with his team and his staff. You know, I've said it before, his biggest strength I feel is on the training pitch and getting his messages across to the players and the detail he goes into. I think for any ex-player, you know, we all have an understanding of the game and a certain knowledge of the way we want to play the game, but what's impressive about Mikel is the way he gets that across and the detail he goes into, and also how simple he makes it so the players can understand it.
I heard that you might be joining them for the winter break training camp in Dubai. If you do have spare seats on the airplane, please give me a shout. The weather in Dubai is significantly nicer than England, that's for sure. Yeah. Speaking of Arsenal and the youngsters, they got so much young talent over there. Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Saka, Aaron Ramsdale. The list goes on and on. If you could give all of those youngsters a good advice, what would that be?
Oh, that's a good question. I think what they have, which I had as well at the time, is a good manager who trusts young players, who believes in young players.
Who knows how to nurture you and provide you
Yeah,
support.
knows how to bring them through. So I think the best bit of advice I could give them is probably listen to the manager, trust the manager, but enjoy it as well.
How confident are you that Arsenal will finish in the top 4 this season?
It's going to be tough.
Yeah, very intense.
Yeah, I feel like they're definitely good enough to do it. It's going to be tough because there's so many teams around that area that could potentially do it. I think if Arsenal find some consistency and perform like they have been in spells during the season, then they'll be all right.
Cesc Fabregas, your very close friend, once said about you that you could be not just a player, one of the stars at Real Madrid or Barcelona. Is that something that you think that if it wasn't for the injuries, that could have happened?
Yeah, potentially. But also when everything was going good for me at Arsenal, you know, I didn't ever really want to leave, and there was also always talks of me potentially going somewhere. But I always saw Arsenal as like my home, my club that I've been through, the academy, and got into the first team. So potentially, yeah, but I was happy at Arsenal.
Error by Fellaini, pounced upon by Wilshere. Across comes Blackett, and there's a problem here for Wisher.
He's gone over on his ankle, and that looks horrible.
And in terms of the injuries, how difficult is it to go through it again and again, different injuries, the recovery, not only from the physical point of view, also the mental strength required?
Well, physically, I think it wasn't easy, but I had a clear understanding of what I needed to do physically to get back. And the biggest challenge was mentally, because you know you go in every day, and yeah, you're having breakfast with the boys, and then they go out to training, and they're smiling and enjoying it, and you're going into the gym to do hard work.
Working separately from
them.
Yes,
working separately and working hard as well, which is also tough every day to tell yourself, right, you have to work hard today. You know, some days you might be feeling tired, but no, you have to go again, you have to work hard, and it's boring stuff as well. Stuff that footballers don't want to do. You never thought you were going to have to do when you were growing up and dreaming to be a footballer. So yeah, mentally it was tougher.
And do you think the injuries you suffered were potentially because of the amount of football you've dealt with you've been through since a very young age? Some yes, but the majority of them were impact injuries. You know, someone tackled me, and you know, I broke a leg, or I've ruptured some ligaments, and they were the toughest ones to deal with, because that was my game. You know, I'd like to receive the ball and dribble past players, and with that comes risks, and unfortunately sometimes I paid the price for that. What has been the greatest moment you ever experiencing playing for the Arsenal?
There's been many, but probably winning the FA Cup in 2014.
Here's Giroud. Oh, brilliantly taken. Absolutely brilliantly taken by Aaron Ramsey.
Because of the journey the club had been on, in terms of they hadn't won anything for a few years. My journey up to that point, because I'd suffered a few setbacks up to that point and fought back to get in the team, and
the satisfaction, recovery.
Yeah, it was special.
And from all of the great players you played with at Arsenal, who was the one that you enjoyed the most playing with?
There was many.
Yeah.
But the one that stands out is Fabregas. Yeah, because of he was like a role model for the whole academy. He'd got into the team at a young age. He'd stayed there. He'd showed us that it was possible. And then I got to play with him for a few years, played with him properly for only 1 year, which was a shame. I was disappointed about that. I wish I could play with him more.
Was a bit of a mentor potentially. He was a
Yeah, he
more
was definitely.
experienced in what he went through.
Yeah, he was a captain as well at the time, so yeah, he was good.
ווילשר, Cazorla, Giroud again, ווילשר! It's stunning from Arsenal. Beautiful, beautiful football. And ווילשר was there to finish it off.
You scored a lovely goal against Norwich City at the Emirates, but it was the collective effort, that team play, maybe one of the ever greatest we've seen in the history of the Premier League. Talk me through, was it something brought from the training ground or combination of collective effort, talent, hard work and potentially a bit of luck?
I think a little bit of both in terms of we worked on similar things to that on the training pitch. And what I mean by that is, winning the ball back in a certain area and playing out wide to get out of the press and then coming back into the middle of the pitch, because we had players like myself, Cazorla, Brzicki, who all similar type of players who like to play in that area and combine. And yeah, a little bit of luck as well, but it was a good goal.
And now when you're involved in coaching, getting through badges, someone like Arsene Wenger, one of the biggest managers we've seen in the history of the game, what kind of impact he had on you in terms of your progress and development?
Oh, he was massive, because not just him, because the coaches in the academy as well. Even when I was eventually in the first team playing for Arsene Wenger, I would still communicate with my coaches in the academy. Steve Bold, Neil Banfield, people who'd helped me all the way through. But then Arsene took that to another level in terms of the trust he showed in me and the patience he had at times when I was injured, and still put his faith in me to come back and give me time. And he helped me a lot.
I'll take you back to 2011. Twitter is an interesting tool, especially nowadays. And you put an interesting tweet about Yossi Benayoun. He was back there at Chelsea, trying to encourage Arsenal to bring him to North London, which was successful. What was it about Yossi Benayoun that really attracted you to bring him to Arsenal?
Well, I grew up a West Ham fan.
Okay.
And I watched him a lot. I really liked him as a player. And I just thought there was something about him that would suit the Arsenal way. Like the Arsenal style, the way he plays. He's a technical player. He likes to be on the ball and link up, play 1-2s, and yeah, it worked.
Yossi Benayoun running at Norton. Benayoun goes for it. Oh, what a goal! What a stunning start for Arsenal!
You mentioned you're a West Ham supporter, which I know, and obviously there was another Israeli player over there, Eyal Berkovic, you watched him growing up. If you could choose one of them to play alongside with, you play with Benayoun, but Eyal Berkovic, from your point of view, was another interesting one, or Benayoun was...
Yeah, no, he was very good, but I think the type of player I like, it'd have to be Yossi.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And in terms of Benayoun, he's obviously 12 years older than you. From playing with him, from training with him, what is that you witnessed that you're really, really impressed with?
Well, the first thing is I didn't realise he was that much older than me.
He looks younger than you, I think.
Yeah. And the way he trained every day. So he must have been 33, 34 when he was...
Yeah, I think he was 31, 32.
Yeah, so he still had a lot of hunger for the game and wanted to improve. And his desire as well. He was like a... Without being one in the dressing room who was shouting, he led with the way he played and the amount of effort he put into training and games. Yeah, I really enjoyed his time when he was at Arsenal, and I would like to see him a little bit longer at Arsenal for sure.
And who was that individual individual player you ever played against that was the most challenging player?
There's a few, but I used to hate playing against Moussa Dembele.
Okay.
From Tottenham.
Oh, it's the North London derby as well, rivalry.
Because of that as well, that was always a heated game, but not just because of that, because the way he played the game, his ability. I used to always think as a midfielder, when I'm playing, what can I do to the opposition that I hate as a player? And he used to always do that. He used to take the ball and dribble, and he was strong and powerful, and he was difficult.
And what has been the lowest moment in your Arsenal career?
Probably in my first full season, we lost in the Carling Cup final. That would be, like, as a team, the lowest point. Obviously, I've had some low points with injuries and tough times, but the one that sticks in my head is the way we lost that final.
And if you could choose one player you never play with that you would love to see at Arsenal alongside yourself, potentially that missing player in that puzzle to win the league, win the Champions League, who would that be?
It's a good question because I'm trying to think back to when I first broke into the team, and the team we had, with Fabregas, Van Persie, Nasri, Arshavin, myself.
Lots of big characters.
Yeah, Alex Song. Maybe, I don't know. But the obvious one is Messi. If we had Messi, we would have won everything. But it was a good team, and we should have challenged more that year, or we should have won something. But I would like to have seen Messi at Arsenal, yeah.
And which team you ever played? We spoke about the individual, but the team you ever faced, that as a collective, you thought to yourself, you're going down the tunnel, you see them, you think, it's going to be a challenging one.
Barcelona.
Okay.
In 2011. Yeah. It was like my first full season in the team. I played in the Champions League. I played a lot of Premier League games, but in the tunnel that day, it really felt like it's gone up a level. I'm talking about the Barcelona of Messi, Iniesta, Xavi, David Villa, like arguably the best team of a generation, and we actually beat him in the first leg.
Now Arsenal played round the pressure, now they've got a chance.
And there's no flag here. Can Arsenal find something right at the death? Played back for Arshavin! 2-1! They've turned it round!
We couldn't quite beat him in the second leg and we went out, but yeah, it was that team.
I got a secret for you. I was in the stand that day.
Where, New Camp?
Yeah, no, in London,
yeah.
when you won the game. And after that game, I remember that Gווארדיולה said, "ווילשרווילשר is a top player. You're facing in the middle of the park, you're not even 20 years old. You played against Iniesta and Xavi. And obviously you won that game, but obviously Barcelona went through and they won the Champions League that year. Hearing that compliment from someone Gוואrדיולה, what does it do to someone so young?
Oh, it was massive, and he was someone who everyone looked up to, especially a player of my style. And I used to look at players like Iniesta and Xavi, the way they played in midfield, and they were obviously nurtured and coached by Pep, and that was Pep's style. So yeah, that was special coming from someone like him.
And in the current Premier League, who is that player that excites you the most watching him?
There's a few, and there's a few at Arsenal, but if I had to pick someone not at Arsenal, I'd probably say Phil Foden.
Okay. What about him?
Just the way he plays the game and...
The maturity, he's very young, by the way.
Yeah, he seems like he's been around for ages and he's still so young, and the way he's improved. He's a similar player to someone like an Iniesta. I've heard a lot of people as well, he's a little bit like Messi. I'm not saying he's as good as Messi or he is Messi, but the way he plays, he's small, he's slight, but he beats players and he's always looking to play forward, and yeah, I like watching him.
You spoke about Phil Foden as the one that excites you outside the Arsenal. If you choose one player from Arsenal that really, you're watching him, you're thinking, it's a pleasure. Who is that player?
Well, there's a few, because I really enjoy watching Saka.
Yeah.
I think his decision making for such a young player, and we talk about maturity, is, and speaking to people in the academy and the youth setup, and hearing what they say about him and saying what a player he was coming through. But the one thing that stands out is he always made the right decision, and he's taken that into first team level. And then obviously Smith Rowe, he's someone who I like watching because he reminds me a little bit of myself.
Okay.
He plays in a similar position. He's
the confidence,
he's a little bit different.
Around,
yeah,
right.
But I feel like the more pressure you put on him and the more people talk about him, the better he gets. And I think that's a good thing to have. And then the next one for me would be Martinelli.
Yeah.
Like you've seen over the last sort of 4 or 5 weeks since he's been in the team, what a player he is. You hear people talking about him. But ever since I went back to the club in training, he was doing that, and I was thinking, wow, this kid is special. And I think the manager deserves credit as well, because people
forget that Miguel is very young himself.
Yeah, but people were crying out for Martinelli to play, and the manager brought him in, brought him out, and nurtured him, and now he's in, and he's a really important player for the team.
Mentioned Bukayo Saka. How he had obviously missing that penalty in the summer from England. How difficult is it to recover from low moments like that and then to really deliver and progress at a very young age.
Yeah, that's tough, and I never really experienced that. Well, obviously, I had small disappointments and
The whole world, the whole nation.
But the whole nation was watching, and I think that is credit to him and his character and the people he's got around him. Everyone says he comes from a good family, and I think you can see that he's someone who's got his feet on the ground. He loves his football, and that's all he cares about. He lives and breathes it, and he's showing that this year that he's bounced back from a big disappointment, and he's arguably been Arsenal's best player. So credit to him.
We spoke about what impressed you now with Arsenal at the moment, challenging for the top four. What do you think? Obviously, they have aspirations. They want to go as far as they can. What do you think would be the next step for Arsenal, for Arteta as a club, if they reach the top four, and the next step is to challenge the Liverpool, the Man Cities, the Chelseas, to fight for the title?
Yeah, definitely, and I think that is the first step, is getting back into the top four. It'll be a massive achievement if they can do it this year. I think if you'd have spoke to people at the beginning of the season, they probably wouldn't have seen Arsenal challenging, but
the way they started the season was very difficult.
Exactly, and the way the season's gone and the way they've improved and the way you can see that they want to play, I think there's a real chance they can. And then then the next step is getting even higher, maybe going for second, or if you're finishing second, you can always challenge for first. So I think in the next couple of years is a big time for Arsenal, and if they can get into the top four and maybe bring in a few more players, and I think they've got a chance.
Jack, many thanks for your time and good luck in your next chapter.
Thank you.